hospital days.
Yeah.
Few one day or it is.
This was nice or something.
Next time.
Drum roll.
Yeah.
I'd like to officially call this meeting of the Seneca County Board of Commissioners to order for Tuesday, September 1st. Please join us for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Commissioner Zoller will lead us in the prayer.
Heavenly Father, thank you for this wonderful weather that we're having. We certainly appreciate that the summer has started. And dear Jesus, give us the knowledge and the confidence to, as we go forward and make tough decisions for the county, and realizing that we all have somewhat of a different opinion on things, that we always look to your direction to do the right things. In your name.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Stacy?
Here.
Commissioner Zoller?
Here.
Commissioner Frischer?
Here.
We'll have the signing of the journal, and I'd like to accept a motion to approve the DVD recording from the previous board session of Tuesday, August 25th, and the index of that meeting.
So moved. Seconded.
Motion and a second. No concerns or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Approved, thank you. Okay. Any adjustments to, I see no line. Any adjustments to the printed agenda as we have it?
Yeah,
To make.
if I could, I'd like to, I got a call this morning from Cindy Dunn. I'd like to talk about the ice skating rink that they had last year. Also, would like to talk a little bit about some improvements out to the animal shelter, and try to get some the thought process of what the board's direction is. And then certainly to express some opinions I have on the JJC and the process that we're going through there.
That's listed under old business, the Joint Justice Center, so I had the other two under new business. I guess the dog warden is not new business, or is it? That's old business. Would you want to get covered? Anything you have, Commissioner Kirschner? Stacy? Nicole?
Yeah, I have a resolution for mental health and recovery.
Okay.
Who?
Mental health and recovery services.
Okay. We can start with the old business, or Mary, we had you down at 10:15. Do you have other people coming? Do you want to wait till 10:15?
Just me.
Do you want to go ahead and go, then, or you?
Hey,
Not
that's
that you
great.
won't want to stay and just, you know, we're a whole exciting meeting, but. Go
I'll be
first
more than
before
happy
we
to go
start.
first, if
Okay.
that's what you wish.
You're on. Yay. Mary's gonna give us a bit of update on things with SCAT, and they're ready for their redesignation.
Yes, thank you for all your support that you've given us in the past. Right now, we are writing our grant for the 2016 calendar year. Our budget last year was $1.4 million, and our budget will be about the same again this year. And we're asking that the commissioners redesignate us for 3 years. And I'll need a redesignation letter and a resolution from the board. What's going on at SCAT? Well, we are just completing a feasibility study, which is going to show a flex route in the town of Tiffin. Professor Alan Underwood from Heidelberg College has donated all this time, so Professor Alan Underwood and his team have been working on this project for us. Normally a project like this will cost us about $25,000. They are doing it free. So, you know, hats off to Heidelberg and Professor Underwood. We're still in the rough draft form. We're going to have one more public meeting in a few weeks, and then with that information, I will present it to my board of directors, and then from there, we will present it to ODOT and go from there. ODOT has been aware that this is something that we are working on. The feasibility study will show the number of people that are using the service, the cost of the service, and the hours that we need to operate. So that's one big thing. ODOT just awarded us another vehicle. We have a new vehicle. It's called an MV1. You have to see it to believe it. It's specially made for transit only, for people with disabilities and people with bad backs and elderly folks. My thought process was, after going to down to Fostoria for a few times, that's probably where it'll end up with all the railroad tracks that they have down in that territory. Also for long distance, because the person in the wheelchair now can sit up in the passenger side of the front seats, beside the driver. They no longer have to sit in the back. And looks like a Hummer or a Big Flex. You know, it's kind of a unique looking vehicle. It's at the shop. I welcome you to come out and see it. I was going to bring it today, but I didn't think you'd want to go outside. But that's where we're at. Right now we are currently employing 34 people. Only 7 are full-time, the rest are part-time. My average age of driver may have come down because we just hired somebody younger, but it's 64 years old.
Average?
Yes. So we have most of my employees are retirees, and they're just giving back to the community because they feel that this is the least that they can do. They're definitely not doing it for the money. Do you have any questions?
Has there been any change to the hours? Because you have daytime hours and it's scheduled 48 hours in advance. But I saw, can they be scheduled by private groups? I saw one the other evening, and it just made me wonder, I don't know if it was just being utilized for something special on the weekend, or?
Yes, we
Okay.
do some contracts for to keep the mitigation of traffic down if there's festivals or anything going on in areas. We usually have our drivers donate their time, so there's really no cost to SCAT, and then we take a donation from whoever we're providing that service to.
Is there any definition? I certainly support SCAT and what you're doing and so forth, but I do have some concerns. I mean, there may be some abuses in the system. I mean, what constitutes eligibility to be able to use it?
To use our
Because
service?
I want to make sure what we don't do is take away from our local businesses, the cab companies or limousine services and so forth.
We're not competing with taxi cabs or anything like that. We are a nonprofit. We, as long as you're a resident of Seneca County or Metro Fostoria, you're eligible to ride on public transportation. Some people are qualified for discount rates, and we will apply that if they're qualified. Whether it's E&D, which is only those with disability, they'll pay half a fare. There's also a program through United Way, which is a huge partner of ours. We have United Way in Tiffin, Seneca, and also in Fostoria. We get almost $30,000 between those two organizations for transportation for those with low to no income.
So eligibility is you got to breathe and be a member of Seneca County.
You have to be a resident of Seneca County or greater, what do they call it, Metro Fostoria?
And it's scheduled services versus on demand.
Right, and
Because
we are,
taxi cab,
right
you can
now,
call
it's
and say, "I
just
need to pick
demand
up at
response,
10:30."
which is 48 hours ahead. for your
48?
schedule. Yes.
Okay.
If it's going out of the area, we ask for 72 hours. That's the minimum. We would prefer they call a week ahead, you know. In Hancock County, it is a week ahead. You have to give 7 days. Oh, no, I'm sorry, it's 14 days over there.
There's been some talk about a specific route, maybe between the universities and the.
Yeah, that was the flex route that I referred to earlier.
Okay, and how far along are we with that?
Well, we got a rough draft of the feasibility study.
Right.
We're gonna have one more public outreach meeting. We've had 2. And the first one was the community leaders. I believe Mayor was there and Ms. Hawley was there. Then the next one was like for business and whoever wanted to attend, from colleges or businesses. This one's gonna be open to the general public. It will be at the chamber office because it is in an accessible building and it's in an area where just about anybody can get to. And with that information, we take it back. I present it to my board of directors, get their stamp of approval, we'll look at it, and then we'll submit it up to ODOT to see if it is feasible.
Any questions?
Any more questions?
Now, we do have the resolutions not on the printed agenda, but it's prepared if you would want to handle the redesignation for Mary while she's here.
That would be
It's at the
great.
wishes of this board, what
Sure.
you want to do.
This is a requirement of our grant, for me to approve the grant, to get the grant from ODOT.
Yeah.
Of the budget, I thought you said 1.4 million is your budget. What part of that is grant and what part of that is?
About close to 800,000 is the grant funds. And the
Okay, so
other
the
we
balance,
raise
so
locally.
for 600,000 is from county general funds?
No.
The county
I don't
unfortunately
think
does,
so.
the county unfortunately does not give us any funds
No.
yet. I will be knocking, I will be knocking on that door.
Yeah.
Right now, that is something that we will be inviting different towns and townships and counties to
I'm sorry that I brought it up.
participate. But I appreciate you bringing that up, Fred. Holly's elbow's not long enough. But we raise the money locally, and like, again, United Way has been a big supporter and a great partner that we've dealt with. The schools, we have contracts through schools. Fairs do not count as local match. Fairs become federal money. The perfect example of that is if the state's gonna give us 25,000, we raise 5,000 in fairs, we only get 20,000, because we already have the 5 in fairs. Donations are local match. We have people that have left us in their will. We have people that when someone passes, they donate money to our organization. We get a lot of money that way.
It's a great service.
So if you wanna open it up to your will, then we'll take that. I have our tax ID number in my back pocket.
Good transition. Good transition, Mary.
That's what they hope for, done.
We'll take you where to the bank and the attorney's office. Anything else?
Thanks, Mary. We'll have the resolution. We'll let you.
Okay, thank you.
And a resolution authorizing the redesignation of rural public transit grantee or SCAG.
You need a motion?
Yes, I do.
So moved.
Seconded.
I have a motion and second to do the redesignation and resolution as stated there for SCAT, and it is for 3 years.
3 years.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions, comments? Not call the roll, please.
Commissioner Kirchner?
Yes.
Commissioner Zoller?
Yes.
Commissioner Stacy?
And yes, approved.
Thank you very much. I
You're-
appreciate the support.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Maybe
Maybe
this time we'll get some.
more support talk to that one, I guess.
Fred. Thank you.
Never gonna say a word.
I'll take odds on that.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mary.
Bye-bye.
All right. We will move into the old business that we have listed. Let's talk about the dog wardens thing, just so I don't forget, because I put it on the wrong place on my piece of paper here, since we added that as an item of old business. So what's the scoop with the
Well,
dog warden facility?
Okay, well, we,
Scoop?
No pun intended, but okay.
we have a situation like the dog, at the animal shelter, that they wanna make some modifications to the unit. It's a steel building, it gets extremely hot in the summertime. And I almost hate to even say this, but we need to have some sort of conditioning or something to make it just a little more bearable for the animals. Now, the issue at hand is they have roughly about 290,000 in revenue that they've generated through dog licenses and so forth, that from what I understand, can only be used at the animal shelter. Can't be used, we can't turn it back to the taxpayers. We spend it or it just sits there. And they want to make about $17,000 worth of, well, total would be about $30,000 worth of improvements. Insulation, possibly lower the ceilings, add some kind of conditioning to it. This would be a very simple answer if it was coming out of general fund. In my mind, it'd be a simple answer, but being that it's not, and there is no other recourse to use that money, then I'd like to get the opinion of my fellow commissioners. Is it something that we should grant and allow them to lower the ceiling, increase the insulation, which will help somewhat on the heating bills in the wintertime, but they're not, I'm gonna say we're gonna save in heating, we're gonna spend in air conditioning. But I'm just
So the
kind of
money-
beside myself. What do we do? I mean, the money just sits there. There is, and we investigated every alternative. One of my thoughts was, well, the sheriff kind of helps out at the animal shelter. Could they transfer some of that money over to the sheriff's department? And the answer was no. But I think I would like to investigate that, if there is, because the sheriff does handle some animal issues on the weekends. So is there some set of compensation? If not, the money's sitting here and
But
not
they-
doing anything.
I'm assuming she's somewhat have saved up monies to do things in case something happens, she needs money for those things. So the issue of having the money for the improvement she wants to make is not an issue, she has that money.
Yeah.
And you're concerned with the fact that the balance of that money and/or that money sitting there, we could utilize otherwise, but we aren't allowed to.
Well, I think we need to investigate again.
Yeah.
I'm looking at very simply, the sheriff does help out on animal cases. Can some of this funds go over to the sheriff's department, which he desperately needs? Or is it just absolutely positively gotta be used internally? As I said, we could have the best animal shelter in northwest Ohio with that kind of money, but it seems senseless to me.
Like I said, we're not foolishly spending it, it's sitting there, it's not getting utilized where we might need it. I don't know that the sheriff's not gonna get through the year without the money. Yes, we had the reduction of the ICE revenues, but I think we're getting through the year all right. I'm looking,
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
see any alarms going off.
But is there legally that we can, since the sheriff does help out, and I understand the money's gotta be used strictly for the care of animals, and because the sheriff does contribute towards that, can we take some of those funds and contribute back to the sheriff? Is that an option? And I think we'll probably need a legal opinion.
Yeah, as I say, you're gonna have to
On,
get an opinion,
on
yeah.
that, but I certainly would advocate that we look at that. And then secondly, because there is such a enormous amount in there, or the next thing possibly, can we forego dog license for a year or something? I mean, we don't need all that money.
Well, there's still the processing in order to keep track of the dogs, or you still need the tags. So there's still gonna be the work needed. I mean, I don't think you just, not for a year tag dogs, you'd have a mess going back into it, I'm
Yeah,
assuming.
or reduce the fee or something.
Bring me up to date. Was the animal shelter built as an animal shelter?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, but we didn't ventilate it properly?
No, it was pretty much built as a,
Weren't part of those outdoor pens only, and they changed it, there has been one modification, or am I not right on that?
other than the fencing, there's been no additions to that.
Oh, okay.
No,
I was
it's
thinking
just,
there were some
okay.
changes.
just
made.
improving it. Kelly's done a wonderful job at selling the tags. When she first started, there was like only 8,000, 7,000 tags being sold in the county. She's got it up to 11, 12,000 tags. So she does a lot of hard work, and she's been very frugal on how she spends her money, so.
Forcing.
But there was legislation passed a year or two ago that allowed for the sheriff to absorb dog wardens' positions. So I would have to reach out to Derek, obviously, to ask, because I don't think that's unrealistic, knowing that legislation's out there. I just don't know to what extent. So I'll have to check with Derek.
Well, going back to the building, I mean, are we, by ventilating it or putting an HVAC system in there, are we throwing good money after bad? I mean, if the building wasn't built as the kind of structure that would take an HVAC system, then why would we put that system in there? That's just gonna cause us additional heating and air conditioning costs.
What, if I can add in here,
Yeah.
Commissioner Kirschner, she's had some experts come out there of looking at it, at putting the HVAC system in, and their first question is, yes, it can be done, but unless you insulate it, you're gonna waste money.
Yeah.
So it's something that, it's an adequate building, but it could be enhanced, and enhance it would be to add insulation, and then also from the cleaning process, they hose the walls down and so forth, so you have to cover the insulation doesn't get wet, and there's like an ABS, real fine, like a high-pressure laminate, but it's plastic that they would put up on the walls over top of, and that's already on the walls on the lower part, but in the higher part, it's not. It's basically bare insulation. So they would want to increase the insulation and put this ABS up there so they could just take hoses and hose everything down. You could imagine how messy the kennels would get.
We have 290,000 in the pot, so to speak.
Yes.
How much is this?
To do everything would be roughly a little under 30,000. 17 for the insulation and the plastic ABS that they would use, and about 10 for the air conditioning.
And we projected what the utility bills would be as a result of this?
Well, it's insignificant. I've looked at it, we were spending about $3,000 in, I guess, propane out there a month. That's in January through April. She's had a difficult time to try to get an answer from AEP. Why would you go to AEP if we got propane? Whatever, well, to see what the reduction would be. She hasn't been able to get an answer on that, but again, it's not significant, so 3,000 times 5 or 6 months, 5 months, 15,000, so if we reduce it 10% even, it's only 1,500. I don't think we can quite justify it from a cost savings. It's more that the money's there could be some improvements from a humane standpoint. It can be, my personal preference, if we could get it over, find it, the funnel out of there and get it over to the sheriffs, then that certainly would be my desire. But if we can't, I guess that's what I'm doing. I'm looking for an opinion from my fellow commissioners. I'm kind of at a betwixt and between here.
Did John, our maintenance supervisor, have an opinion on the type of work she's looking at?
He's actually going out right now. There's some of the things that he suggested that they're gonna, would lower the heating system and then maybe put a ceiling, a fake ceiling in there, which may make it easier to ventilate it, may save on the air conditioners. He's out there looking at the options now. But again, we still come back to, we have this pot of money. My suggestion, let's investigate, see if some of that can be siphoned off. And 2, we're not gonna be able to siphon all of it off. That's not the right word. To utilize it in other areas. And then 2 is, do we advocate investing some money in making the Humane Society, the dog ward more humane?
I'm not opposed to making some improvements in the building if our maintenance supervisor and we look at the ways that we're not throwing good money after bad money.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. As far as the other thing, I guess that's gonna take some discussion with the sheriff and with Derek, and I guess we could look at that. I don't have an opinion on it now without knowing more information on myself. That's my thoughts.
Yeah, if we have a couple HVAC people going looking, it makes sense to insulate the building properly and condition it, that's fine. You know, who's gonna vote against dogs and cats? I'm not gonna.
No cats.
Well, I
Dogs.
gotta restate, it's only
Cats out of
dogs.
it.
It's only dogs.
By our
Just dogs.
statute, we're only allowed to care for dogs, not cats.
No kids. It's not good.
Okay.
Wonder we don't have a discrimination suit against us from the Cat Foundation or something.
All right, so we'll kind of wait more details and reports coming back to us. Okay. Anything else with that?
No, nothing with that.
Okay. Then we are to, next on the agenda is to talk about the Joint Justice Center under old business.
Haven't been to the ice rink, that's new business.
Ice Brink is new business. So under old, the Joint Justice Center, well, we have John is here about GIS study. Are you on a time schedule? Do you want us to do that? And
You do that, and then Kim and I get back to, she wants to get back to work, because, Kim's like, 2 minutes, real quick.
Okay, let's go there. We have under old business a GIS study about approving the final copy of the Geographic Information System study, and that's what John's here about.
Just very quickly, thank you, commissioners, for your time and administration and public. We have just a hard copy for you. I'm going to, and I just gave one to the mayor as well. Basically, the resolution we have in front of you today is just to approve the study as submitted. And the 2 keywords is as submitted. Like I've told a lot of people, like when we did it at our NCOR COG board meeting last week, a week before, you're not going through every detail and you're not approving. If you disagree with 99.9% of it, that's not what the resolution states. It's basically you're approving that you received a copy of it. You may love it, you may hate it, indifferent towards it. It's just saying that you have it and you're approving it as it is submitted. It is online. It is on the NCOR COG website. If you go on the front page, you just click on, there's a button, I think, all the way on the right-hand side. People can view it. We've gotten some good input from different people out in the county. A couple townships and stuff had talked about it and they have looked at the report. We had a pretty good meeting. We thank you for being there, and I know, Commissioner, you were there as well, and everybody was there. It was nice having it. We had a nice little crowd. But we had a lot of people respond to the survey, and there was a lot of information in it. So take a look at it, and on the survey itself later on, and they'd like to have a follow-up meeting sometime in the future at your discretion, of course. But today, once again, it's just approving It's a simple resolution, then I can get a copy, you could scan it and send it to me later, that'd be great. We gotta send it into our paperwork for the state of Ohio, kinda like the Mary Habig thing just earlier. It's just a formality we have to go through with it. But that's all I have today for you.
So we're basically, John, just acknowledging receipt of the study.
Correct, receipt of the study as it is submitted.
Okay.
Not for form.
Boil it down and save me 2 hours of reading it.
We're gonna have a test just for you on it. It was pretty good, just a couple of keynotes. If everything was followed exactly the way it is in here, and it costs money, of course, and you can go into the dollar figures later, it'd just be a more robust tool for the county to use and other people to use. There's cost savings if it's done with all the involvement of everybody. There's benefit of cost savings because more people buy into it. It's like buying paper towels at Costco. The more you buy it in volume, so it's cheaper. The more people buying into it. It'd be a regional asset for the community, for the county. And one good thing about it, it'd be more of a web-based system rather than being just on a individual server inside someone's office. Things that are available to the public, they can just go on there and just click on stuff. For the general public would be fantastic. If this could be done completely the way it's stated in here, you'd be state-of-the-art, best GIS system in the state. But that comes as an initial cost, a startup cost, and part of the thing would be find some types of grants or funding to get some of this work done on the front end to make it attractive to people to do it. You don't have a whole bunch of extra money sitting around just for this. In a nutshell, the system you have now works okay for the engineer and for the auditor, and they're doing a real good job on their own systems. There's nothing bad to say about either one of them on their GIS systems. But it'd be a much better system if it was all compiled and put all together. But that's, a decision for you folks, the city, the engineer, the county auditor, and that sort of thing.
Did they talk about governance? I mean, that was.
Yeah, there's a
we all
governance
knew
piece in
when we
there. That
started
was one of the
this.
questions somebody had that day.
Yeah.
And it'd be, basically, you just have a GIS committee, be a lot of meetings at first, and then would taper off, as the thing is implemented, it would taper off after that, and it has all that spelled out in there as well. Just take a look at it when you get a chance. I mean, it's really easy online. When you click on it, it's in a PDF file, so you don't have to have any kind of special reading, and you can just scan through the pages either on your iPad or on the computer. It's pretty nice how Kathy Moore at our place set it up that way, so very easy to see it. It was on the main topic. Now, the main thing now I think is the C&G report, and so the GIS is up on the cover page, up in the right-hand corner, top right-hand corner. Anything else at all? I'll leave this with you then, and that's all I have. Any other questions at all about anything?
Do we need a motion on that?
You got any questions?
Is that part of the-
Yeah.
I think we need a motion to approve.
All right, we have a resolution on accepting the study as is, as presented, I guess.
Resolution approving as submitted the final copy of the LGIF Geographic Information System Study.
So moved.
Seconded.
The motion is second. On the resolution, any questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Yes.
Commissioner Zoller?
Yes.
Commissioner Stacy?
Yes. Approved. Thank you.
But I would tell Commissioner Zoller that he needs to read through that because there are some significant dollar figures attached to improving the system. And there are some significant recommendations as it relates to how the governance should take place.
Yeah, and most certainly I will, but when the process was going on, I've heard concerns it was not dealing with the governance as much as it was the necessity to have a system. Well, heck, we all knew that we needed the system, and my hope was that the study would give us some guidelines on the governances of it.
It does, and it talks about backup systems, but again, none of that, all of that comes with a significant cost.
No free lunches out here.
Okay. Joint Justice Center, I'll just hit the highlights of the last meeting and then we'll go for, I'm sure we'll have more discussion on the topic from the meeting we had on Friday. We're continuing negotiations that started Thursday with the owner's representative. Another negotiation meeting later this week will need to occur. They throw numbers at us and scope and so forth, so lots of things to figure out there. We are still working on the agreement. Hopefully, the city hadn't looked at the agreements yet, and we as well hadn't talked about them here yet. I know I wanted to talk to Derek about those, so there's that going on with agreements. We opened up the request for qualifications for construction manager at risk, and we had 3. Gilbane of Westerville, ACI Construction Alveda, Touchstone of Lima, architect and engineering work. We had 7 requests for application, or qualifications turned in. Under those requests, MKC Powell, OHM of Gahanna, K2M of Cleveland, Silling, Charleston, West Virginia, Moody Nolan of Columbus, DLZ of Columbus, Burgess and Nyepel, Cincinnati. And we set the, aside from the negotiation meeting continuing with owner's rep this week, we set the next meeting for the leadership team to be September 11 at 3, and instead of noon, over at the municipal building. But everybody on the group is to have their ranking sheets done on the 3 CMRs and the 7 A&E qualification packets we received into Stacy by the 9th of September for the compiling of that data. So that's the summary, and then we can go from there on whatever else anybody else has.
Let's take an easy subject. The operating
Yep.
agreement, you are going to meet with Derek sometime soon?
Yep.
Okay.
Today.
Yeah, I just want everybody to know that the good news with, there is an operating agreement and there's a joint use management agreement. One after the building's built, one is prior to the building, or during the course of the building. The fact is that both city solicitor, city counsel, Brent Howard, and county prosecutor Derek Devine have reviewed this. But it was, they had put together a sample of one, or a draft of one, that was then reviewed by, it's not Eastman and Smith anymore. John Larson is with
Squires, Boggs, and Patton Boggs.
Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe. And so a third party, not involved with the city, not involved with the county, actually has put their touch and review on these things. And I think that gives us some comfort at both levels, the city and the county, that this thing is a neutral piece and that it covers most of the concerns people might have. I've read it over a couple of times, and I have a couple of comments about it. But hopefully, after Commissioner Stacy reviews it with Prosecutor Devine and Commissioner Zoller has a chance to review it, then I would think that we can get this thing approved next week.
Yeah.
I think the city's on the schedule to maybe get it approved by mid-September, end of September, something like that. So
December meeting schedule.
we can move forward with this. So that part of the JJC I wanted to address.
Yeah. Good. Today.
It's certainly important that we get that. I look at this like it's two companies that are coming together in a relationship on a business agreement, and that's why I was very much pushing for this. To me, if, again, looking at it from a business perspective, if we're gonna locate in Fostoria or we're gonna locate in Columbus, Ohio, it's immaterial. We need to have an agreement of how the city and how the county is gonna act to this whole thing. So I cannot stress enough, that's why I was pushing for it actually 2 years ago that we put that together. Location is immaterial. This is actually an agreement of how we're gonna operate after the building's built. That's very key to it. Next thing I just want to express, and I mean, I'm reluctantly agreeing with the process, but when I see that the owner's rep come in at a bid of $385,000, I realize that can be somewhat negotiated down. We had a bid that was substantially less than that, and that bothers me a lot. I'm coming back from the very beginning of this process, that, and I don't want to beat a horse to death here, I'll reluctantly agree with it, but I will never, ever agree on a owner's rep of $385,000 when we had an owner's rep that was somewhere in the $250,000 range and would even do somewhat less than that. My thought process was that all along, was that this group could have brought the cream of the crop to the forefront, and then it would have been our decision as leaders, the city and the county, to make a final selection. But I don't know, and while I've elected not to be part of this process, what I don't know is the people that have come to the plate, are they the best of the best? Or are they just the ones that are looking for the work today? That concerns me. So I would rather make sure that we pick the cream of the crop, and then from there, we make the final decision. Another thing that absolutely resonates with me as I took this job on to be a steward of taxpayers' money, it was to be that, a good steward of taxpayers' money. There's been studies, and I have been told that construction costs increase 4.5% a year. $10 million project, that's $450,000 a year every year or break it down even simpler, $37,500 every month we delay this project. That resonates with me right between my eyes. For delaying this project, which we have basically delayed it since would have been 2013, in March is when the study was done. That resonates with me, it bothers me a lot. I know that the group is moving forward with it, but that was why I was very supportive of the owner's rep, the group that we were going with, because I thought they had a timeline and a framework that would have allowed us to let this thing out for bid in the fall, because we have been told by numerous experts in the industry that it's always the best time to bid a job is in the fall for construction in the spring. And I strongly support that. I just don't want this thing to get bogged down and not get anything done, because I hear $37,500 every month that we're just tacking onto this project, and it bothers me.
Okay.
It
right.
did-
But look, we talked about having the bids by the fall, and that's your major concern, and I get that. The timeline that we're on now, I think from the original timeline that we had, there isn't an original timeline, I guess, but from once the new Joint Justice Center Leadership Committee took over, the timeline that we had from what I reviewed is somewhere between 30 and 45 days behind what we projected that it would be. However, when do we anticipate that we'll have a bid on the project under the current timeline?
In the spring, and that's based on recommendations from the folks we've talked to.
Okay, so the bid's not coming until the spring, or the construction's gonna start in the spring?
They said put it out to bid.
The guaranteed
The
maximum
guaranteed
price.
maximum price part of it, of the CMR process,
Will be-
in the spring.
Yeah, but he said
Because
we
their
could-
recommendation at the meetings from two different firms, independent of each other, both said the same thing when we interviewed them, that you'd be, it was, you know, you do this based on the timing of market, and they said everybody has got full plates now. You would be crazy to put it out now, you would get a much better price, and no, if you can wait, you would not wanna put this out till spring, and that fits in how we're tracking, and no attempt to delay it by any means, but that's their recommendation,
Okay.
based
So
on
what-
what's
what
going
is
on.
Spring with fall construction, or fall 2015 bid with spring construction? I think that's a very key element here.
They
Because
said-
what I've been able to investigate is a bid process in the spring of 2015 with construction, the bid in fall of 2015 with construction 2016 would be the most advantageous. Is the information you're getting somewhat different than that?
It's not a bid, it's construction manager at risk, and Aaron's going, it's not a bid, and it's correct, it's not a bid, it's construction manager at risk. So we'll have their proposals in after, I forget which documents are all done, then they do a GMP, a guaranteed maximum price, part of that. And this is all to occur, I don't know if Aaron has anything you want to add to this, but to be in the spring is my understanding from what has been explained to us by the groups. One, we interviewed for owner's rep, and then two, since negotiating and talking about what schedule looks like.
You opened the RFQs for the architect and engineer and construction manager at risk
Yeah.
on the 28th of August, right?
Friday, yeah.
And we have until, how long to choose one of those or both of those?
We're gonna do a rankings by the 9th, short list announced the 11th.
Okay.
And then the process of CMR is quite different
I get
than
that.
normal stuff. So I don't know if anything requires a number of 30 days between steps or not, because you'll have to have a meeting with them on,
Okay,
a
I'm just-
review meeting.
Yeah, I'm just trying to, I'm just
And
trying to
then proposals.
conceptualize this thing. If we have chosen a construction manager at risk by the end of September, which is
So sometime,
reasonable,
yeah, sometime,
I
yeah.
think.
Yeah.
So we're saying that we're not going to get an idea as to a number until March or April?
I'm not gonna guarantee that I understand how that works, I just know they were emphasizing we don't. Mary, do you know, I mean, they indicated, like I said, time we step through the process, we would be right on track to be when we wanna be in the market.
That is the very reason why I think we should have went the outside, because we don't understand. None of us are qualified.
We don't have the owner's rep on board
Yeah.
yet, Commissioner Zoller. We are working on doing that now, and they're going to help us through this process. And if you want to go back to the old time, they had the opportunity to bid, and the difference comes in experience. Is there anything else you would like to add, Mayor, on the CMR process? Because I don't understand it, and I don't attest to understand it. And that's why we need an owner's rep, and we need them to help us through this.
Yeah, that's the exact reason why we selected to hire Quandel, which has two different sides to their construction business. One, they are a builder. They build construction manager at-risk projects. The other side of the company, they do owner's representative services. We have hired a firm, really the only firm that applied, that has a building wing and owner's rep services all in-house. So what they're going to do is, they didn't bid on the project. What's great with them is, they know the ins and outs of things contractors try to slip through, things that they're going to try to do to their benefit to hammer that price down so that they can make more money. These guys are going to catch that. They have been through the process. They've got a heck of a team on board, and they're going to be able to walk us through. They're working on this. The bidding is already done. There is no more bidding that goes on other than the fact that we've got meetings with our top 3 construction manager at-risk firms, which we have 3, and we'll be meeting with our 3 architecture firms to select. Once that is done, we will work with them with whatever they tell us is the schedule that will work best to get the cheapest price. So if they tell us we can get you your price cheaper if we do it now, we're going to work with them on that schedule. If they tell us that we can, if you wait 6 months till we finish up project A, B, and C to start, you're going to save this amount of money, we're going to wait 6 months. It's going to be on their schedule when we can get this project done for the cheapest for the residents of Tiffin and Seneca County.
My understanding was that sometime in the fall, and, fall goes until December 22nd, that, I think that's right, that there would be some indication as to the cost here. And an additional item is that the city had asked for, and I believe that we feel comfortable with, some type of preliminary number from the architect before they would move forward. We wanted to get some idea that this project is gonna come in at 10 million. I mean, if the architect comes through after all this, all the hoops that we've jumped through and says you're not gonna get it done for less than 12, and we've got some real decisions to make. Let's go back to Quandel 1 second, if I may. After some consideration, and these aren't my numbers, these are after having some talks with folks, 386,000, we're gonna negotiate that, I understand that, but if this is a 9-month project, it's probably closer to 6 months, but if this is a 9-month project, there are obviously, approximately 270 days in 9 months. Of those, about 200 are working days. If we look at a 386 number, I just try to get my arms around it. We're talking about a Quandel asking for $2,000 a day, approximately, to be there, to be the owner's rep. That seems to me to be extremely, extremely expensive. Hopefully, we're gonna be able to work that number down to a number that is within reason soon. Because I don't feel comfortable looking at a firm to be our representative. I would think that we could get a whole lot of representation at $2,000 a day.
And it's a matter of all the different types of services and hours, and I know you
Sure.
did that. But, yeah, you're right, and that's why we're negotiating, because I did that. The figure is higher than I know I want to see it be. I'm sure it is for several others on the leadership team as well. So
And
we gotta
substantially higher
negotiate.
than what the other costs were coming in at.
Yeah, the original proposal was 300,000, and
Yeah, they were down to 250 and we negotiated lower than that.
so. Anything else on the Joint Justice Center? John's comments? Board? Okay. Next item on old business is the event reminder, September 5th. This is the event in our parking lot, is that right?
Yes, yep. Madison's having a charity event in our parking lot, so I just wanted to remind people that the whole lot will be closed down for that event. They'll have the event in here
Friday,
Saturday.
Saturday.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to,
they'll be moving stuff in Friday, so we'll have to vacate the lot on Friday. We need to make sure we get signs up there.
yep, yep, do letters
Do you have to be out Friday before the end of the workday, though?
I'm not sure John, wait, John's got it set. We can probably still park here. It's just we gotta put the notices out sooner than that because, you know, not,
Yeah, other
it
people
isn't,
park here.
yeah, other people park here, so.
Yeah, even though they're not here. Okay.
Just wanted to
Sometimes,
remind you.
sometimes cars stay in the lot overnight for Madison's, really?
All right, we will move to new business, and so we don't forget it, you had the ice skating rink or something? that
Yeah,
you're at.
I got a call again from the individual that kind of chaired this last year, and she's getting, I would say the reason why we can't do it, but I understand we don't want to in any way, because to conflict with construction of the new Joint Justice Center, but if we specified that if she could have the ice skating rink, I think it was a tremendous asset for the community. I think it was well supported. I would very much like to have it, but just say that she got to be out by March 15th, completely vacated, because I can't see construction starting before. I would hope that would be, because again, I keep coming back to this $37,000 a month, but I would advocate that we allow her to do it, because I think it is well received as a community gathering. And just put a stipulation that by March 15th, you gotta be going. Even if you wanna put March 1st, you gotta vacate it. Now, that we could possibly, if we find out we're not gonna break ground by then, we can extend that. But she would have to, the group would have to understand before we would allow it, that if we were gonna break ground, that they'd have to be out by March 1st or 15th, whatever we agreed upon.
I talked to her too, and I just said, submit the application and we'll review it and see what makes the most sense. I think we'll know better after we have some additional conversation. We don't have to make a decision before middle of September, it's not gonna hurt, so.
I don't know what their drop dead date is. Of course, they've already got the facility, but I'm sure the plans with organizations and so forth, I would like to give them as much flexibility as possible. And I truly support the leadership team if they can get ground to be broken by March 1st.
Yeah, and as you said, Commissioner Kirschner, the time we have the application in, we may know a little more details from that we could deal with that, and if we need to stay out by March 1st, February 28th, whatever it is, we can figure that out. I guess my only personal thought process on it would be that knowing that it would not be able to be happening the following winter, that if they maybe want to get established somewhere for the consistency of their, whatever that newer location would be, because it did go over well. And, you know, it takes time to build events. When you have the new one, the first year is always, you gotta give a hand to the risk takers on doing that, because, you know, it takes the first one to start to build it, and look at the farmers markets and how they've grown like crazy. And that would be my only thought, is maybe they want to get something else established as the new, I guess, home of it. It's not going to be able to continue to be there.
I measured it off last year, and we could fit 3, even with the Justice Center there. We could fit 3 of the size of the rink last year, still on the courthouse lawn.
But it'll be a construction zone, the second.
Yeah, the first year would
2
be
years,
very, very difficult,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Maybe we can let the mayor let us use the city parking lot there.
There you go. All right, well, we'll see the application when it comes in and see what more information we know at that time. Anything else for old business? All right, I'm sorry, we were in new business anyway, that was new business. Continue with the resolutions.
Can we do?
Oh, we do have an executive
the-
session.
Yeah, executive real quick, and
Yeah,
we can go in the back, so that way nobody has to leave. It'll just
Okay.
take-
and yeah, we were scheduled to do that at 10:30. Let's get that done. And we will have action after, because we need to handle all the resolutions on the agenda. So, I need a motion to go into executive session for personnel and,
Well, the only other suggestion we have, can we handle the resolutions
Yeah, and then do
Not
the
anybody
executive.
wants to go, and.
I don't know if the time schedule is of such for folks with with the
We
executive
will have to
session.
have session
Afterwards
afterwards
anyway.
anyway.
Okay,
So whichever.
I move for executive session.
Seconded.
Motion and a second that we go into executive session. Call roll, please.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Yes.
Commissioner Zoller?
Yes.
Commissioner Stacy?
Yes.
Be right back.
10:49.